Well, people at home in week 15 course content are brief lecture notes for today. And I wanted to really do three things. One is I'm just calling it cheating. It's like when you just can't get something to look right, how do you fix it in your drawings, even if you're not actually fixing it in your model? I want to talk about drafting views, which are places where you just draw as opposed to model. You just need to draw a detail or bring in a photograph and put some annotation and stuff on it. You can do that there. And then lastly, I want to do a look at Enscape, which I was going to be running a demo on my laptop, but I can't get it to stay connected to the web. So we're going to look at some of the instructional videos on the Enscape website, just to let you know what's going on there. So without further ado, we're recording. We've got people there. We've got me here. Let's go. So to start with the cheating that's not really cheating, but still kind of, you've got your 3D elevators down here on the first floor. But let's say here on level 6, you want to indicate that there's the elevator here. And for whatever reason, you just want to draw it instead of modeling it. In any 2D view, a plan section or elevation view, or callouts from them, 2D views, not 3D views, we can just go to annotate, detail line, rectangle, draw it, and then we'll put the X in there, which typically indicates an elevator cab. It's that. And this is really all we need to do to say that there's an elevator there. We do have this door issue. So let me just start showing how we can sort of, without actually putting in a door or anything, we can make it look like there's a door there. Okay, so I use DL again, just to put some lines across for the, copy that down. And I want to get rid of this part right here. Hiding it would make the whole wall disappear, and changing its line style to invisible, which we'll get to in a bit, would make that whole side of the wall disappear. So what I'm going to do is just sort of paint on top of this outside line with a white line. This is cheating, just so you know. It's like when this is the only way that you've got 6 minutes to get this drawing onto the plotter, and you don't know where the whatever the dang thing is. So for this, I don't actually have, if I go into draw line, DL, over here, I don't have a white line to do that with. So we're going to have to do a couple of things here. I'm skipping around a little bit, but just to get you a sense of the options here, then we'll go back and look at them. I can go into Manage, Additional Settings, Line Styles. And if we open that up, we see all the lines that we have here. I'm just going to create a new line style called wide white line. It'll just show up over here. There it is. And I'm just going to say that it's white. And I'll make its width be like, this goes from 1 to 16 or something or other. I'm just going to make it 5. Apply. Okay. So now sort of just the same way that in Photoshop, you can just erase things by pixels. Now I'm going to do DL, pick my wide white line, and just do it from there to there. And it just hides it. This one I want to leave because that's the edge dropping down into the pit. And then if I want to put my doors in, I could go DL and do some little rectangles, whatever they do. Oh, I have to get out of wide white lines now. DL, just regular medium lines, rectangle. I guess they're smaller, huh? And I can copy that down to there or something rather. Whoops. Oh, I copied this piece as well. So there's an elevator, and you could copy that as needed. A similar tool for individual line segments is to make them invisible. Let's say that your plan was to have the last 3 risers to be arced instead of straight. Instead of these 3 straight risers, you wanted to end up with something that's going out like that. So I'm going to draw those first, those those arcs and then come back and erase these other three. Well, not actually erase, but make go away in this view. Again, DL arc. I'll do the first one here. Let's say that that's my bottom one. Do it again here. I guess they're getting a little less steep each time. DL. Oops. Gotta keep picking arc. It's sort of a pain. Arc. Yeah, something like that. And that's a line that I drew by mistake. And then I'll just come back and turn these first three off with modify invisible lines and just pick those three. And then we have our staircase. I drew some extra lines in there just by mistake. Voila, there it's done. And as long as you're not showing the bottom of that stair in a 3D view, you're golden. It doesn't change the 3D stair at all. If you got a section through it, the risers would still be where they were originally. So adding 2D line work will work only in the 2D views. If I get into a 3D view like this, go to DL, it just won't do it. It's not an option. It's a 2D2 only. But it might be. Let me get to another page. You can draw on sheets though. Let me just go to a different sheet. Let's say that you had two different views of something and you wanted to establish how they were connected to each other. Out here on the sheet itself, which is two-dimensional, we can also use DL draw line. I'll just pick these for right now and say from here to here is some important relationship I want to make clear. I can pick that and type CS for create similar and bring that from down here to down here. So you start establishing relationships on the drawing sheet between things. But these, if you move that, you've got to move these guys. They're just sitting on top of the views that are on the sheet. Let's talk about what we can do in a 3D view. Let me go to my 3D view. In this one, if we wanted to put something on this wall, we wanted to draw a circle on this wall for whatever reason, not a decal, just something we're drawing. We can draw under architecture model lines. These are true three-dimensional objects in space. We're going to have to tell, actually, let's do this, architecture. Set our work plane to this wall plane right there. And now we're drawing on this plane right here with LI is the shortcut for model lines. And now I can draw a circle on this line, on this wall. And we see that moves around with that. So that's in animations, that's in any 3D view you want. Know that it's a tool that's available to you in 3D. We get into a view like this, LI for model line. Is right now it thinks I'm drawing on the floor. If I just draw here, that's going to actually be back behind the building somewhere because we're drawing on level 1, which is no end of confusing. So to be able to draw on this wall, I need first to go to set the work plane. Well, the faster way to do that is pick a plane, wait till you've got there, click it, LI because it's a 3D model line. Put that up here, and then we can see that move around. So if you wanted to put every 8 feet, you just want a line indicating a joint between two panels or something, but you don't want to model them. You don't want to model that joint. You can just draw that joint and copy it over every feet. And those guys will be there. We can go back into this elevation view. In fact, let's do that. LI. Then copy. Let's do 10 feet. 10. 10, 10. So then we can see that those are there. That one got copied up a little bit, I guess. When you just use the line tool, DL and LI, and pick lines, by default those are green, and I think that's to call your attention to the fact that they are 3D. They're not just flat detail lines. So once you pick them, you can select it and then change it just to something like medium lines, and it'll be black. Let's do that. And I could have done that ahead of time. I mean, to the first one, or I could have just started drawing them with medium lines in the first place instead of with lines. Any line that's here, without having to pick anything, we can just go to modify the line work. Let's make these something we can really tell the demolished line. You just start doing that. For 3D model elements, a change of line style will apply only to the view it was changed in. For model lines, however, it will apply in all views, and of course, 2D detail lines will appear only in the view in which they were drawn. So what if we would like longer dashes there? We saw that we could create a new line style with a new color, white, with manage, additional settings, line styles. And if, let's say we want to make one that's red to call attention to things. So line styles, sorry, new. I just call it red, medium, red lines. Why not? So let's make that a medium thickness, which is like a 3, and we'll make it red. So if I want to really call attention to something, I might just do something like that and take all of these, take them one at a time, and change it to medium red. Or I could have just drawn the arrow after creating the medium red line style. Let's say we wanted that medium red to be finely dashed line. We can drop down here, sorry, red, and pick from a number of patterns already defined, which by and large have this the size of thing that we can have 3 kinds of things in a line. We can have a space or a dash or a dot, which is actually a very short line. But let's just say we want to make that to be a dotted line. Medium red lines want to be dotted. Dotted 1/8 inch, okay. And now we see that they're dotted, which is basically a very short dash. Here's have an extra piece of something in there. Yeah, so they basically put a dash at each end so you'll see it. That's like automatic. So there'll be something there, and then a space, and then whatever else you've decided to do. And it always goes solid thing, and then a space, and then a solid thing, and then a space, and then a solid thing, and then a space. So let's say we want to make those long. I would like to create a whole new pattern that I would like to be. Let's go take a look at this. And this will be how these appear when they're plotted. It has nothing to do with this being 8 inches and then this looking like it's about 6 inches. When we're plotted, this is like 1/8 of an inch, and that's like 3/16 of an inch or something like that. So it's always plotted. So if we go to manage additional settings, line patterns, let's take a look at one. Let's just take this one that's called aligning line 1/8 inch. And it looks like it's a 1/8 inch space, 1/8 inch dash, a 1/8 inch space. And if we go to edit it, we can see that's just what's happening there. a dash 1/8 space 1/8. And that will be the plotted lengths of things, regardless of the scale of each view. So if we wanted to create a new one, that was, we'll call this long dash, really long dash. Lines need to start with a dot or a dash. I'm going to choose dash. And I'm going to make that 1 inch long. And then the next thing can only be a space. We can't stack 2 dashes in a right next to each other, touching in a row, or a dash and a dot that way. And I'm going to make that a 1/2 inch. And I think that's all we have to do. And that'll just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Okay, so there's that. You can see it's much longer than any of those other guys. Let's just draw one first with, I've created the pattern, but I haven't given it to a line style yet. I've just created a pattern. Manage additional settings. Line styles. Now here is where I can apply this pattern that we've just created to one of our new line styles. Medium red line. I'm going to change that to our new pattern. Really long dash. Okay, so there's that, and I have to, and you can see I have to stretch this out before that even starts showing up. But if we go back to where this is on a sheet, my level 6 floor plan here, 6 floor plan penthouse, we can see that in the scale of this 24 by 36 inch title block, or 22 by 34 or whatever, the dash is 1 inch long and the gap is a 1/2 inch. If we reduce the scale of this viewport from 1/8 to even a 1/16, these are still, relative to the paper size, 1 inch and a 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Okay, let's get back to my level 1. Let's say I wanted this whole, the interior of this whole thing not to be visible. Let's say I just wanted to print this out so I could just sketch in there without stairs, without elevators, any of that kind of stuff. It would be a really tedious thing to do with white lines. But I would like to use the sort of the idea of a white line, but as a region, as just a big white thing that's covering this up. Let's go into the view itself, just to be really clear about it. Let's go back to level 1 existing. And under annotate, we can go to region. Filled region. This is the area I want to be hidden. Right there. Oh, those little guys pop up on. I'll get rid of them for now. But to make that really go away, I want it just to be solid white. So we can pick it. And then we'll look to see over here if there's already a solid white pattern defined. No, there's solid black, but that's not what we're looking for. So I'll pick this, and just like anything else, when something's close but not just right, we just go to edit type. And edit type duplicate. And I'm just going to call this solid white, which is what a masking region would have been to start with. Solid white. And the foreground fill pattern will be solid fill, but its color will be white instead of black. Apply. Okay. So just goes away. And all of this 2D stuff conceptually sits on top of the 3D ones, so that it will always opaque what's underneath. And I think I need to sort of decide what to do with this line, this edge. Let's say I want that to go away as well. I don't want this across here. I don't want this across here, across there. I can now select the filled region and go to edit boundary. And now I can pick these individual lines and use my wide white line for them so that they will become white and not show up anywhere. Now, at this point, I probably want to just cheat these inside a little tiny bit. Remember, we're cheating here. So that the edges of those walls the inside edges of those walls would show up. And this is just this one view. We're not messing with where did that go? So do that kind of thing. Hide whatever you need and have a choice of whether the lines are visible or not. Make this look a little more convincing. Just pull these in a tiny amount, just enough to see those walls. Not enough. I'm going to get rid of that. Just silly. If you want your walls, this wall looks strong. We can really see that. Sometimes when you print floor plans white on black and put it up on the wall, they look good and strong here, but you get 10 feet away from them. They're just hard to see. So what you might want to do is and this is view by view, is just to make all these walls shaded. We can go into visibility graphics overrides and scroll down to walls and say wherever they are cut, wherever a wall is cut, I want to see a pattern that's solid fill and let's say dark gray. So all our walls will be filled in with this wherever we cut through them. So we get them really popping out like that. And look, and these are columns. What's good for the goose, good for the gander? Let's go back to visibility graphic overrides and say wherever columns are cut, we want the pattern to be solid fill and dark gray. So that really start giving you much more of a sense of how that building is put together, especially these guys out here starting to relate to the ones inside. If we're talking about just sort of adding little presentation qualities to this, even though this is mostly an interior space, we can turn shadows on here to see them as if we lifted off the second floors and everything above it, and we're just shining the sunlight into this floor. And that would be with graphic display options, which we can access over here or over here. It's the same thing. And I'm thinking of just sort of presentational pop now. We can just say lighting. Oh, sorry, shadows. Just show me some cast shadows, which is a little strong. But down here where we see the shadow slider, we can decide to make that just a more muted sort of a thing. And now you're starting to get a sense of three-dimensionality from the two-dimensional plan, which I think is appropriate. That's not the right sun direction. If anything, the sun would be coming from the south. So let's go up to sun settings where we've done before. Let's say 0, 90, 180, let's say 170. Why? That's nearly, I guess I need more of an angle here. Let's take this over here to the west. This is 225 from over here. 225. 225. Is that what I got there? That's not right. Just a second. Yeah, let me. I'm trying to get to come from here up in that direction. Graphic display options, lighting, in session lighting. So let's say I want this to be 225 azimuth, which is coming in this way from the southwest, and apply it. Okay, that's what I wanted. So you'd have to figure out what worked best with your plan, and is it always from the same direction and that kind of stuff, but you can do this. Okay, let's imagine that on a sheet, let's go back to my building section sheet. I wanted to have a photograph here that had text and arrows and maybe an existing conditions photograph we wanted to do. A couple ways to do that. One, I could just bring in a photograph with insert, import image. I wasn't expecting it to be on this computer. Okay, this is the dock that I'm repairing. I could bring this in here, and I want to put some arrows and circles on this that say note damaged supports that need whatever. The problem is if I just put those here, those would all be separate things. There'd be a photograph, there'd be a text, there'd be an arrow, something or other, and there wouldn't be a view label down here that I could use to refer to that view. Maybe in some notes, I want to say, look at detail 3 on sheet, whatever this is, A301 building sections. So instead of that, Revit has something very handy, which is called a drafting view. And like all views, you just create it with the view tool. And we're just going to pick drafting view. And because I want to be able to size the photograph to make it on the page be like 4 by 6 inches, I'm going to make this all be life size, 12 inches equals a foot. These can be done at scale, but this is the scale I'm using for this. So now we're in a drafting. Here, I'll go get that photo, insert that same image, whichever it was. This one maybe. Oh, this is tiny. I see. I would just zoom way out. And right here, I'll just say how big I want that to be. Here's the image. And let's say I want all my stuff on this sheet to be an even 6 inches high. And it will scale the other one dimension up equally. So knowing that this is going to be 8 inches long, I can go place this view on the sheet. This is now called Drafting View 2. There's a new folder for these drafting views because I've done some earlier ones. That's this one. If I go back to my, wherever I was, I'll say 3D view. I can bring drafting view 2 over here and place it. And now it's a photograph with a number. You know, it's the 4th one placed on this sheet. And if I go back to that drafting view number 2, let's say I want a big white arrow to call people's attention to the structural failures here. I think I'll just do that with annotate region, filled region. I'll use that white one that we just made. And I'm just going to draw a big arrow. And this could be any that's a little difficult. Got to join the lines. Do you like that? And then maybe I add some text. Annotate text. We'll just put some text here. Note. At okay, and now that's note storm damage at top of leg. And then we can go back to our floor here. And we see that the arrow and that. And these will all move around as, sorry, Control Z, as one element. We don't have to worry about copying stuff around on the sheet together. And in fact, that's how I put together a lot of my drawings for that. So what can we have in a drafting view? We can have text and anything, basically anything two-dimensional. We have line work, which sort of corresponds as this, but we could be doing anything else we want there as well. Dimensions, text, images, regions, and also detail components, which is something we haven't dealt with at all. But just the way that I'll start another view. Drafting view. I'm going to call it corner detail. 45-degree corner detail. Enscape3D.com. Let's maximize that. And I found useful here under resources, training videos. Enscape provides really excellent tutorials on using the program with numerous 3D modeling applications. These are set up for SketchUp, Revit, Rhino, Mac, and PCs. It's a really useful thing. And this will show you how to navigate through the space and use Enscape's own materials and components used in a basic way. Just to give you an example, though, I want to show you how to create architectural animations with the Enscape video. Since we did that in Revit, this is a pretty analogous comparison to how it works in Enscape. But I will let you explore that on your own.